Hi everyone, and welcome to the live feed with Avery and Tony. If those of you that aren't with us now, I hope you do join us later, because I'm sure this is going to be a lively discussion, as it always is with my bud Avery. Good to see you, mate. How you going today?
I like to say that I'm feel as bouncy and exuberant as you do, but I had a really lousy sleep last night.
All right. Well, I'll make up for any energy you don't have. How about
Yeah,
that?
that
So
works for
we'll
me.
Yep. So, and I enjoy this opportunity to be able to have a chat to people. I mean, we haven't had all that many people uptake our live feeds, but the whole purpose of this is just to do them
Yeah,
and to see how people, whether they're interested or not, or whether we get some comments later on. And if so, we'll acknowledge the comments and we'll talk about them.
yeah.
So,
I could always try and throw something really controversial in if you like, and see if that stirs
Well,
people up.
do. I mean,
Yeah,
be as controversial as you can, because that's kind of like the name of the game, really. Is to
it is.
I try not to be too controversial, because I don't know whether that's necessarily part of my makeup or not.
Uh,
I know it is yours. So
yeah, yeah,
toss in what you can, and we'll see where we go. One of the things we did want to talk about was the UN's Australia's response to the United Nations resolution recently, and that is perhaps if I just show the
yeah.
article on that, just to remind people exactly what it was. So it was Australia split with US to back UN resolution demanding end to Israel occupation of Palestinian territories. And I just realised on this shot I haven't got you there, Avery, which is a bit of a
That's
miss.
okay.
But you can talk in the background. Vote makes a change to the nation's official stance held for more than 2 decades. Australia split with the US and voted with 156 other countries at the UN to demand the end of Israel's unlawful presence in the occupied Palestinian territory as rapidly as possible. And I'm assuming that is also the West Bank. The vote marks Australia's return to the position for the first time in more than 2 decades. And of course, the opposition leader, my friend, my buddy, and yours, Peter Dutton, said the Albanese government's departure from the position of recent Australian governments had sold out the Jewish community for Greens votes in Western Sydney and the city's progressive inner west suburbs. A total of 157 UN member countries, including Australia, the UK and Canada, voted to support the resolution. 8, including Argentina, Israel, of course, and the US, voted against it. 7 others abstained. The ambassador to the UN, Australia's ambassador to the UN, said Australia would support the resolution, told the peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine. And I'll just go on this bit here. The resolution demands Israel comply strictly with its obligation under international law, referring to an international court of justice ruling in July this year, which ordered Israel to end its occupation. It also rejected any attempt by Israel at demographic or territorial change in the Gaza Strip. So there we have it. What do you make of that? What's your opinion about what we should do? Well, not only what Australia's approach should be, but I guess what we should do in relation to what's happening in Gaza and the Palestinians.
Well, firstly, UN is a toothless tiger. I like the idea of the United Nations, but it's a toothless tiger. They can do nothing really. They can order somebody to stop doing something, and that they can order Israel to stop what they're doing in Palestine, and the Israelis can ignore it. They can order the Russians to stop doing what they're doing in Ukraine, and the Russians just ignore it. How do they enforce it? Say, toothless tiger. As far as the Palestinian state is concerned and the occupied territories, I am 100% in favour of a two-state solution. Palestinians got an absolute right to self-determination. Good luck with getting that to happen when you've got Netanyahu as the prime minister being kept in place by ultra orthodox members of the Knesset who are totally opposed to a two-state solution. And good luck with getting that happening when you've got a group of people who I did a video just recently on perspectives about what's happening in Gaza and about the history of things about to do with two-state solution. One of the things I learned is that 6 times since the Balfour Declaration which was in 1917, I think it was. The Americans and the UN offered a two-state solution, and the Arab nations rejected it. And three times since the year 2000, when those first three were made, the Israelis accepted it, and the Arabs rejected it. And since 2000, the Israelis themselves three times have offered two-state solutions, and each time the Palestinian leaders have rejected it. So
And
good luck
I guess my
with
question,
getting a solution.
yeah, my question around that too is, what? Well, it's okay saying they rejected it as if that's a bad thing, because we don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe you know what was in those negotiations that would have caused them to reject them. So there would have been some aspect of it that they disagreed with. So,
as an example, I've got the script that I use, right?
So are you turning this over into a session around perspectives of Avery? Is that what you're...
Absolutely. Why not? Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining.
No. In 2008, that was the last time that a two-state solution was offered by the Israeli government.
Yep.
All the Israeli government said, "Yeah, we'll do this." They offered Palestine nearly 100% of the land that was lost to. They offered the Palestinians nearly 100% of the land that was lost in the 1967 Six-Day War, which is all of the West Bank, Gaza, and they said, we took the eastern part of Jerusalem, we'll separate that out. You can have that as your capital. And they rejected it. We will withdraw the kibbutzes that have been set up. The Israeli settlements will just pull them all back, and the Palestinians rejected it. They didn't say why. They just rejected it. It was President Abbas he was the Palestinian leader in the West Bank. I think they're in Jericho or Ramallah. I can't remember which is the capital at the moment. But he took this plan, said he'd be back the next day, and never came back.
So I guess my point is that we don't know what it is about the plan that they rejected, though.
No, but
no.
If they were getting, it was about 99% of the land that was lost in 1967, and they were getting East Jerusalem as the capital. Right, and they were going to get all the Israeli settlers pulled out of the West Bank. They'd already been taken out of Gaza. That was in 2005. The Prime Minister then was Ariel Sharon. He took all the Israeli settlers out, from Gaza, all of the the IDF out, and he left a flourishing flour export business there. The Palestinians showed their gratitude for that by destroying the entire industry. They smashed up the greenhouses, burned up the thing, and started rocket attacks into Israel.
So when you say things like that, I think it does appear that you kind of favour Israel's perspective. Is that correct?
No, I understand it. Right?
But do you support them in the way that they've treated people in Gaza?
No. But equally, a thing you got to I take into account.
Is this about where we're about to become controversial, Avery? Is this the point of controversial meeting?
I think it could be, because everybody, including you, are referring to what's happening in Gaza as genocide.
That's right.
And genocide is a systemic. It's a political decision to kill everybody of a particular race or ethnicity or religion. And if that was genocide in Gaza, if the Israelis wanted to kill all the Palestinians, why aren't they attacking the West Bank?
Well, because there's a lot of Israelis there. That's why.
They can still
and it would.
They can still send the IDF.
Well, they do. Well, I
You can
reckon they
pick
do it. They do a damn good job of making life bloody miserable for the
Well,
Palestinians in the West Bank.
I don't
You
deny
know,
that.
they kill kids and they take teenagers away and torture them. They do a lot of terrible shit.
Well, yeah,
So,
I've seen the reports about taking kids away, killing kids. Proves to me that it's deliberate, right?
well, I don't know whether we
I'm
could
not
prove
saying
that.
it's not, right? I'm just
Yeah.
saying, show me the evidence, right?
Well, I guess the
And
difference between being able to tell whether someone's a kid or not and shooting them is pretty significant. I
and
reckon.
also
You
when
know,
you say kids,
and why would you shoot a kid? Well, yeah, they're talking about kids as young as 10 have been shot. Surely they must
well,
know that they're kids.
well, if they're 10, then they're going to look like they're 10. I would imagine.
Yeah,
I
I would
can't
think so.
speak.
I would think
Right.
so.
So when they shot that particular kid, right? I mean, I very much doubt that he was carrying an AK-47
I doubt
or
it too. I doubt
or
whether.
or what do you call it, an RPG or something like that.
Yeah.
So did that soldier who did that shooting aim at that kid, or was that kid what the Yanks like to call collateral damage?
Well, I wasn't there,
No.
so I
And
can't say. I can only report on the reports that come out from the media in relation to that.
and then you've got to look at the media source itself and look at their bias.
Well, Al
Are they,
Jazeera, and we've got to say that. Well, maybe Al
okay,
Jazeera have a bias, but
Al Jazeera, it's an Islamic. They're pretty good, but it's an Islamic
Avery, you're
organization.
almost at the point like who do we bloody will believe unless we see it with
There
our
are
own eyes?
there are
This is edging onto conspiracy theories.
no. I'm just
Yes,
saying
it is.
you've got to look at the bias, right?
Yeah,
Is there
I
a
can look at
bias
all
in
the
there?
bias. I look at all the biases of the right wing media. I look
Yeah,
at certainly the biases also of the left wing media. I'm not
yeah,
blind to them, for Christ's
yeah.
sake.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying
But
when
I'm
I say
saying,
you, I'm talking you in general, right?
I'm like the
You're
universal you.
a person when they see a news report shouldn't just say, "Oh, this." There's a lot of confirmation bias. I think I hate the Israeli sort of thing, so therefore that story that I just read must be true.
No, no,
Without,
no. I just read a story today, mate,
and I'm
about
not saying you're doing that.
two kids that were shot in California
Yeah,
by a bloke, and he eventually took his own life, apparently.
yeah,
But it happened today. Now, was it really he? I mean, you could ask that's the questions around this crap.
well,
Was
yeah,
it really he that fired the gun? Was it that someone else had shot him and made it look like suicide?
yeah.
Was he really shooting at these kids, or was he trying to kill somebody else, or was he just firing a gun for fun and happened to kill two kids? I mean, there's
Yeah.
there's 1,000 explanations why something, but the reality does not shift away from the fact that a
I
gun
know.
was used to kill two kids.
Yeah, a gun was
A
used
fact.
and killed two kids.
Yep,
Right.
that's a fact.
Yeah, that is a fact, and it's a fact that kids have been shot dead in the West Bank, and
It's
it's
a
a
fact.
fact that 42,000 people have been killed in Gaza.
And
It's
that's
also
that's
a
a
fact. It's
yep.
also a fact that Hamas uses civilians as human shields.
No one's
They've
disputing
do-
that.
yeah, so you can't put all of the blame for the 42,000 deaths, all right,
Yeah.
on the IDF and Israel all by itself.
Okay,
Because
I'll put.
if Hamas
Okay,
are
then.
using
Okay,
the
then.
human
If we're going to use that argument, I will blame Israel for 10,000 deaths, and that's probably 10,000 too many.
one is too many.
That's right. Spot on.
Yeah, yeah. One, but as I'm just saying, all the focus is on rightly on 42,000 people dead so far.
Yeah.
Right. But the other thing that's happening is they're saying Israel, 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 not Hamas uses innocent civilians as human shields.
Yep. But so do the Israelis.
The Israelis have done
There's a
things
video.
like the Israel. You pointed me at this a week or two ago. The Israelis have done things like sent civilians into a building to see if it's booby trapped. They shouldn't be doing that. I agree, 100%. They should not be doing that. All right, but they're not putting a lot of. They're not got a load of Palestinian civilians in front of their tanks or whatever as they're moving forward.
They have. I
Where?
saw it.
I haven't seen any of that.
Well, I'd hate to say it's from Al Jazeera, but there is a video I watched a few weeks back where they showed them strapping a kid, a young person, not sure of his age, to the front of a tank.
Yeah.
So that the Palestinians or Hamas, whoever it was, actually it was in the West Bank, so I don't know who it was, but so that they wouldn't be shot at.
Well,
Same thing.
Yeah. Oh, if they're doing it, then they're absolutely wrong, and they should be condemned and prosecuted for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? The thing I'm trying to make there is that firstly, Hamas do it all the time. Right. Yeah. Secondly, that should be a war crime.
Yep.
Right. Is there a policy from the Israeli government to do that? There certainly is from Hamas. Hamas have got a history of doing it, going back since their founding.
Well, I just don't think two wrongs make a right.
Oh, I agree. I didn't say that the Israelis were right to do it. I said the person doing it should be condemned and prosecuted. Excuse me, for a war crime.
Yeah,
but
right.
Is there a policy from the Israeli government that says tie these kids or innocent civilians to the front of your tanks so the Palestinians don't shoot at you?
Well, who knows? Yeah. I mean, I don't actually. To be frank, I don't know anybody in the IDF, so it's hard for me to say. No. But who knows? But I guess the point is, whether there's a policy or not, they get away with it.
Oh yeah,
and it seems to be codified by simply not saying anything about it to some extent. So,
I agree with that.
So I guess come back to our original point before we got into this discussion. Australians' attitude, like I think Australia should have. Well, firstly, there's two things, Avery. There's number one is, why do we continually side with the United States over things? Why can't we just fucking stand on our own, do our own thing, say whatever is morally appropriate for us, take the moral high ground if we can, and say, bugger you, the United States, we don't care what you're doing, we're not going to become your puppet anymore. Which brings into play things like AUKUS and, APAC and a whole lot of other crap, but and answers. So when are we ever going to make a decision to stand for ourselves and not be held accountable almost to the United States?
I think that's going to happen when we've got a population of 340 million and we've got the world's largest military. So never.
Oh, that never happens. Yeah, exactly. But I think that. But even, I mean, our size of our country and the size of our military shouldn't determine whether or not we take moral issues seriously.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was being facetious.
So we could say, as we did in this resolution before the UN, we could say, well, we don't agree with what you're doing, and we're going to take a different perspective. And I guess my fear is that with Donald Trump coming in, if any country says anything that is contravening Trump or criticising Trump or his administration, then there are going to be some penalties levelled at them, and we'll just live in a sort of an international state of fear.
Yeah, I think that has got a lot to do with it, because Trump is transactional.
Yep.
Right. So you do this for me and I'll do this for you. So you do it for him and he might do it for you. Right. Yep. But equally he might not.
Yeah. And I agree. And I guess, which is a bit sad really that should even happen. But the other thing too, I think, is that we're so afraid of the Jewish lobby.
Yeah.
That, so there's this thing. There was this thing where Trump said in that article that we looked at, and it's not Trump, Dutton rather.
Yeah.
He made.
What's the difference?
Well, I'm beginning to wonder about that too.
Yeah.
Avenir's departure from the position of recent Australian governments had sold out the Jewish community for Greens votes, he says. So somehow we've sold out to, so there's this. So, but have we? Have we?
Well,
Have we sold out to the Greens? Are we selling out the Jewish community? Because there's lots of people in the Jewish community who, particularly the what do they call them? The Orthodox Jews,
yeah.
in particular, are very anti what the IDF is doing in Gaza. Very much so.
The Orthodox Jews and the secular Jews are opposed to what the IDF's doing.
Yep.
The ones that count are the ones in the Knesset, right? And they're ultra Orthodox. They're the Hasidic Jews, the ones that you see with that funny, big thing. And
they're kind of the ones I'm talking about, because I've seen some videos of them being very enthusiastic.
But you haven't seen people from the Knesset.
Well, I don't know, because you're talking now, Avery, you're talking different language to me now.
The Knesset is the Israeli parliament.
Oh, the Knesset's parliament. Yep.
Yeah, and the Netanyahu walked away from the idea of a two-state solution when he needed the support of the ultra right-wing parties in the Knesset for him to become prime minister. And they had like 3 elections in 2 years or something like that, and he didn't win a majority outright. So he had to form a coalition, and the only people that would do it were the ultra Orthodox in the Knesset, the ultra Orthodox members of the Knesset said, "We'll side with you, but the price is no two-state solution. Is all of Israel for the Israelis only."
Yep. I just want to make. We've got a couple of people, Avery, who are connected. If you want to make a comment about any of the stuff that Avery and I are talking about and you want me to put it on the screen, I just want to say, please do so.
Tony?
No, you'll never. The only time you'd be controversial, Avery, would be if you took your clothes off from camera. That would be it.
Oh, I don't want to scare anybody that's watching. So,
and I don't want to be banned from YouTube for life either.
Yeah.
If you did such a thing. Okay. So this, do you think Penny Wong, the what is she? Foreign Affairs Minister.
Yeah.
Do you think that she's been proactive enough around this issue in Gaza, or whether she could have done more?
I think she hasn't done sufficient.
I agree.
We don't have a huge voice on the world stage because although we've got a large area, we're a tiny country. Right?
Well, we're a big country. We're not. We're about the same size as the United States.
No,
I said it right.
We're a tiny area. We're a large area, but a
tiny area.
Right.
We're a tiny area. Hold on. Yeah. We're a large country.
No.
What do you mean we're a tiny area?
I said we're a large area, but a tiny country.
Population.
The area of Australia is about the same as the area of the United States.
Yep.
But we've got 1/13 of the population.
Yep.
We don't have anything like the influence on the world stage that the United States has got.
Yeah.
Penny Wong has done a fair bit in that role.
Mm-hmm.
She could definitely do more, but how effective it's going to be when we are such really a tiny voice in that big shouting match called world politics. I don't disagree with what you said. I do think though we could still articulate things that we morally disagree with. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we could hold firm to principles and values. It's a bit like saying you and I have got no power because it's just you and I. And, there are politicians and there are organisations and there are other people with heaps more money. Elon Musk, for example, is a man that should have all the power because he's got all the money. Well, that's bullshit. He shouldn't. But you and I have a voice.
Yeah.
And we can make our voice known through YouTube, whatever it is that we care to do. We can do all of that. But it doesn't prohibit us from having a voice, as it doesn't prohibit Penny Wong from having a voice in relation to the issues that matter to us, to take the moral ground. But do they acquiesce? But I guess my question here is, do they acquiesce to lobby groups like the Jewish lobby, for example? Are they fearful? Politically, are they fearful of the way that they will respond? In a similar way to, are we fearful of the way Trump will respond if we challenge him?
How big is the Jewish lobby in Australia?
I don't know. They seem to be pretty powerful to me.
Being powerful and being large is two different things.
Well, influential. I'll change the word.
Yeah,
they're influential.
Yeah. So the question there is why? If I don't know how many there are. How many Jews live in Australia? I don't know. Right? I don't care.
I did look that up once, but not all that many. They're a small percentage of the population anyway.
So why?
Because
not that they shouldn't be listened to. They've got an absolute right to speak up and express their opinions and things like that. But why is so much influence given to them?
Well, I wonder, is it because they have money?
I wonder if it's because they're the origins of a particular religion that is espoused in this country, and I don't mean Judaism.
Well, they're not Christians though; they're Jewish.
No, I know, but if it wasn't for the Jews, we wouldn't have Christianity.
Well, you're probably right. I wouldn't disagree with that, even though, who knows, So who killed Jesus? This is the burning question of our age, mate.
Yeah.
Who killed Jesus? Was it the Romans or was it the Jews?
Well, according to the Bible, the Jews went to the Romans and said, "We can't kill him because we don't have the death penalty," which was not true. So we need you to kill him. So the Romans take the rap and the Jews don't. But for 2,000 years, the Catholic Church said it was, the Christian churches, but particularly the Catholic Church, the biggest denomination, said it was the Jews. They called them Christ killers. It was only Pope Benedict, the one that's, the former Nazi that retired or resigned just a few years ago, that officially forgave the Jews for killing Jesus 2,000 years ago.
Do you like the way I baited you with that one?
I love it.
I knew you would. Every now and again, I'll toss something in so that you can do the perspectives of Avery.
Throw something like that at me, and I'm guaranteed to bait.
You're ready to go. Go. Okay, so there's this other issue that I did want to talk about. I haven't got a thing on. I meant to get something up on this. Was South Korea?
Oh, the martial law
and President Yoon. I didn't know who he was, but I now know that it's President Yoon. YOON. Why should I ever forget that name?
Yeah.
And what he did, and I think so. My take on this. Did I do a post on that earlier today? I've done a couple of posts today. Anyway, my theory is that this is a precursor to what's going to happen in the United States.
Martial law.
I should have warned you about this one, shouldn't I?
No, that's fine. Trump has already said he wants to use the military to enforce the laws of the United States.
Yeah.
So, it being a precursor, I hope that if it's a precursor, I hope that what happens is that Trump tries it, and the Congress says, undo it, and then he undoes it, like Yoon did. That martial law lasted about 7-8 hours?
Yeah. Didn't even make it throughout the night, I think.
Yeah.
But my theory is that there'll be such a pushback against some of the things that Trump does, immigration, whatever, people massing in the streets, protesting some of the stupid things that he will go and do, that he'll get frustrated.
Yeah.
And amongst that frustration will be an effort to bring about his form of narcissistic government, which will result actually in him saying, "Okay, bugger it." There are lots of like if there were the Black Lives Matters riots now, or when he's president this time, he will tell people to shoot the protesters, and it'll just take one person to be killed.
Yeah,
and there will be riots and there will be protests and it'll just blow way out of and I don't think it will enter into a civil war, but my guess is it might get close.
Yeah, one person getting killed by the police during a Black Lives uh, Matter matters Black Lives Matter protest.
Demonstration. Yep.
That happened before, right? And what was the response? There was more protests, but did anything change? Did the
Well,
attitude of the Trump administration change? No.
no,
And
but
even today,
that's different. I
right?
think that's different now. It'd be different under this administration, given that he's been given the green light for bloody everything. I
Well,
think it'll be different for him now.
it's not a bright green light though. It's a very pale green light.
Yeah, but they're celebrating it as if it's a
Oh, I
whitewash.
know. They're talking.
It isn't a whitewash, but
He's
they're
talking
carrying
about
on.
it's a gigantic mandate,
Yeah, which it
and
isn't.
with all the votes counted now, it's 1 point. He beat Kamala by 1.6%, which
And
doesn't
it's
compare with the beating that Biden gave him or that Reagan got in 1984, I think it was.
and he's only got 3 seats in the Senate now, I think.
Yeah, uh,
So
and there's talk now about him appointing Joni Ernst as Secretary of Defense. She's much more qualified than Hegseth.
I thought he was.
Hegseth.
I thought the word was DeSantis.
Oh, there's two people talking about DeSantis and Joni Ernst. Now she's much more qualified than DeSantis because of her military background, intelligence background, and DeSantis is far more qualified than Hegseth. I mean, Hegseth, the biggest organisation he's ever run is about 12 people, and Trump wants to put him in charge of 1.3 million or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, person.
I was going to say about Joni Ernst. If they do nominate her, she's got a good chance that she'd get through. She's a senator, so she can't take part in the confirmation hearings, asking the questions. She'd be sitting there answering them, which means that she only needs to lose two Democrats, two Republican votes.
I heard on the grapevine that they're asking him not to appoint any more senators because apparently the Senate aren't able to re-elect those people for a few months down the track. So they have to resign from the Senate.
If he's appointed Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, he'll be confirmed. Marco Rubio's got to resign his Senate seat in Florida. What will then happen is DeSantis appoints a senator to replace him. What Trump wants is for Lara Trump or somebody like that to be appointed, right?
All right.
And that is the thing. What I was hearing people saying today, this is on Fox and on MSNBC, was that he might nominate DeSantis for the Secretary of Defense, right? So that DeSantis doesn't nominate, doesn't run for senator, or doesn't nominate himself to become the senator. Because he can do that. He can nominate anybody in the state of Florida as the new senator to replace Marco Rubio.
Right.
Joni Ernst is from South Dakota, I think it is. The governor of South Dakota would have to nominate somebody to replace her. No elections required because it's there's no sort of special elections for senators who leave who need to be replaced in the Senate.
Same applies in our Senate, actually.
Yeah.
So anyway, hopefully it isn't Hegseth. I saw an interesting interview with Megyn Kelly and he though.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was he was busily trying to justify all the mistakes that he'd made in the past and that he was a changed man, and they played an interview on Fox with his mother, who was clearly given some talking points in order to make his passage a little bit safer, if you like, given that she said that she was disappointed in him. It just goes on and on and on. It's woeful.
Yeah, it's a real shit show.
So so back to South Korea.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that there are many lessons to be learnt from people power. And someone did make the point that had it not been for social media, so many people would not have gathered as quickly as they did in
Yeah.
order to protest the response of Yoon. So and employing the military to do whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
He wanted basically he wanted to have sole power over the whole place.
Yeah.
In every aspect of their lives. He wanted. So it sounded so Trumpian, though. He wanted to get rid of the media that objected to him. He wanted to get rid of anybody that objected to him. Period. And he wanted to do a whole range of other things, which were extreme right, sort of Project 25 type stuff.
If you look at the history of South Korea, since 1951, I think, or 52, when the Korean War ended.
Yeah.
They've had military coup after military coup after military coup with the military governments. And it's only around about 1989 that they had their first president elected. It's been that way since, but they've got a history of martial law, right, going back.
But they have been a stable. They have been a stable democracy though, for all of that time, and they have progressed economically way out of wow. They've progressed.
If you say having a military government is stable, yeah, it could well be.
No. Since they had a democratic constitution.
Yeah, they've had a democratic constitution since MacArthur imposed it in the 1950s.
I thought
not MacArthur. Who was it?
I'm going to follow that up.
I think they rewrote the constitution in the late 80s.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Reworked the constitution, and then I can't remember who it was that was elected. I was just reading it today, but I can't remember who it was. But since that person was elected around about 1989, it has been stable, and their economy has gone through the roof.
It has,
right? And good for them.
When was it formed? So the for history.
Here's something for you.
Yep.
I had a car that I bought new.
1987. 1987, incidentally, the Constitution was.
Yeah. I said just a couple. I think it was a couple of years before that guy was elected that they reworked the Constitution. I bought an Australian car, brand new. Right. It lasted me about 7 years.
Yeah.
I bought one that was a car built in Australia, built here in Adelaide. So you've got two brands you can choose from: Mitsubishi or Holden. It lasted me about 7 years. It was actually a Holden. I bought another car. I bought it in 2009, brand new. The Holden was brand new. I bought a Hyundai Getz in 2009, and I'm still using it today. Beautifully engineered car. No problems with it, none at all. I can't say the same about the Australian manufactured goods.
No, well, I tend to agree because I've bought Toyotas, and then recently I bought a Hyundai Kona. Yeah. So, and I'm more than happy.
Yeah.
So they make I think they make a good product.
Yeah, they certainly do.
They have a bit of trouble with their politicians apparently, but apart from that, they're fine.
I've got Korean-made washing machine, dryer, and dishwasher. I've got a Korean-made TV.
What is Samsung? Samsung Korean?
Korean.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yes, and I don't know what my computer is, but who knows? But who cares?
Probably China.
Probably, or some of the parts for all of those products that we talked about probably come from China anyway.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So, just in closing, Avery, any final thoughts about this conversation or anything else that you'd like to talk about?
I do agree that Trump will look at what happened in South Korea and say, yeah, I can do this, but I can do a better job than him because Trump can do a better job than anybody on anything.
Well, he's
We
a
know that.
genius.
We know that's true because he tells us so.
That's right, exactly,
Right.
and we have to believe him. Yep.
Yeah, I can see. I agree. I can see that sort of thing happening because he said that he wants to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But
there are
equally, I can see him do what he does with all of his other businesses. When he's running the business of the United States, he's going to fuck that one up as well.
he will,
Or maybe I
and
shouldn't have said it that way, but
he will. And there's another report I saw today too, where there's a small town somewhere that endorsed Donald Trump because Trump said he wasn't in favour of them being purchased by another organisation, which I think was a country from overseas was going to buy the steel plant. And some of the guys from the union there got up and stood up for Trump. Anyway, they've decided that they've renegotiated the selling of the plant as opposed to it closing down, and Trump has supported the idea. So now they're not happy with Trump. So they supported him 5-6 weeks ago.
yeah,
And now they're unhappy with him because he's changed his mind around this sort of decision. And I
build
think
a bridge and get over it.
well, I think that's a microcosm of what's likely to happen from now on. That there will be people that will come to realise, that because I'm an immigrant, he wasn't going to touch me because of whatever reason, and suddenly he's deporting me and my family, and I voted for him. For God's sake. There'll be so many of those instances around the United States that one wonders.
Foot, aim, fire. You know? Anybody, any person who, I've seen this thing about people saying that after the election they looked up what's the tariff, are tariffs good or bad?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're bad. Right? Our prices are going up. What have I done? Well, what you should have done is looked up what a tariff was before the election.
Yeah.
Right? You couldn't be bothered to do it. Build a bridge and get over it. You're just going to have to live with your poor decision.
Yeah. And I think the thing, what people don't seem to understand is just one simple fact, Avery, and that is that Trump's an idiot.
Yeah.
They just can't grasp the fact that the man is an idiot without any concept of or any sense of empathy or understanding about in-depth details, in-depth issues such as foreign policy.
Yeah.
Like we're just going to bomb the. If you don't release the hostages, we're just going to, we're just going to Gaza. We're just going to. Well, no one even knows what that means.
Yeah. Is he going to nuke them?
Well, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, won't care.
There's the thing about genocide in Gaza. The Israelis could do that right now because they've got nukes.
They could, but it might destroy a few of the Israelis that sit on the outside of the Gaza border, though. So it mightn't be all that safe for people.
Collateral damage. That's what.
So, all right. So great chat, Avery. Very enthusiastic. Thank you very much. Yeah, as always. And we will endeavour we'll try and, Avery and I will try and make this time the regular time to catch up with you all, so that we had a few people come online today. No one left a message, very disappointing. But next time, perhaps some of you will please make a comment, argue with us, tell us that we're wrong, agree with us. That would be even nicer. In the meantime, I'd just like to say to you all, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, keep you and the people that you love safe.